Good morning, boys and girls. We are doing today lesson 9, session 1, and this is the division with fractions. I pulled up first the family letter. I wanted to make sure you were aware that is on page 195. If you want to refer back to it to look at the pictures and help you throughout this lesson. Then our lesson is on page 197. So if you will grab your book and a pencil and open your book to page 197. So we're going to be looking at division with fractions. So let's read the problem here. Complete the problems about dividing a whole number by a fraction. Number 1, in carpentry class, students are making wooden stacking games. Brett cuts a board that is 3 feet long into pieces that are 1/4 foot long to make his game. Complete the model to show 3 divided by 1/4. So I start with my 3, and I want to cut each one of those pieces into 1/4 and see how many equal size pieces you have. So stop the video, see if you can complete the model, and then turn it back on. Okay, you should have completed the model by cutting each of these into fourths. My lines aren't very neat. And then counting how many 1/4 are in this 3 pieces. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you should have come up with 12 equal size pieces. Number 2, Madison cuts, I don't know what happened there. Let's go back. Okay, here we go. Madison cuts a board that is 3 feet long into pieces that are 3/4 foot long for her stacking game. Complete the model to show 3 divided by 3/4. So I want to know how many 3/4 are in 3 whole pieces. So I'm going to stop the video, see if you can cut these and point out how many 3/4 there are. And if you had done this, I would start out with my fourths. And then I'm going to count groups of 3/4. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So she could after she cuts her board, she has 4 equal size pieces. So if you just ask yourself, how many 3/4 go into 3? Let's turn to the next page, 198. Complete the problems about dividing a fraction by a fraction. So now we're going to have a fraction to start with. Number 3, Lynn starts with a board that is 3/2 feet long. She cuts it into pieces that are each 1 foot long for her stacking game. Complete the model to show how many pieces Lynn cuts her board. Now notice 3/2 is more than 1 whole. So here we have 1 whole and we have 1, 2, 3 halves. So we want to know how many 1/4 are in her 3/2. So stop the video and then come back and see if you've got the same thing. Okay, so I would have cut this into, remember these are halves, so here's a 4th and here's a 4th. Well, here's a 4th, these are 4ths. And here's another 4th. Remember, because each of those sections were a half, so I'm taking half of the half. So how many 1/4 are in 3/2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she has 6. Here, this was a half. I don't know if that makes it easier. That's a half. So write a division equation that represents your model and shows how many pieces Lynn cuts her board into. What related multiplication equation does your model represent? So I would have done 3/2 divided by 1/4 is equal to 6. Or I could say 6 times 1/4 is equal to 3/4. halves. So Lynn cuts her board into 6 equal-sized pieces. Reflect. How are the models for dividing with fractions similar to models for dividing with whole numbers? How are they different? You can pause the video and write your answer. If you did, you may have said something along the line, models for dividing with fractions are similar to models for dividing with whole numbers because both types of models show some quantity of a number of equal parts. You can count the equal parts to find the quotient. And a difference is that a model for dividing with fractions might start with a quantity that is a fraction, or the size of the equal parts might be a fraction. So you may have had different answers on that. We can check that when you get to class. So if you will now turn the page, we have some practice here. I thought I would help you with this one before I send you on your way to finish the rest of them. And I wonder how many of you remember what the divisor is. See if you can stop and put these in, fill these these squares in, and then come back and you can add on to what I wrote or copy what I wrote down. So the divisor is the number you divide by. The divisor can be the number of equal groups or the size of each equal group. So the number you divide by, the number, I'm going to abbreviate, you divide by. So you have your divisor and you have your dividend, which is the number it goes into. So you've got a dividend divided by the divisor gives me the quotient. And as far as an illustration, we can do a picture. I could do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Another example, I could do 6 divided by 2 is 8. I could do 1.5. You can do decimals now. Divided by 0.3 is 5. I could do 6 divided by a half. It's not 3. I'm cutting each of the pieces into 2 pieces, so I get 12. Non-examples. This is not the divisor. If I have 16, of course, it's not letting me write now. So it won't let me write. Okay, 16 is not the divisor. That's the dividend. That is a non-example. Let's go ahead and I will read number 2. Circle the equation that shows a divisor of 6. So go ahead and circle it. Which has the divisor of 6? This one has a dividend of 6. This one is the divisor of 6. This is the quotient of 6. Okay, we are going to stop right there. I would like you to complete page 200 on your own and check with the Google Classroom to see if there's any other assignments for today.